Hello? Hello, everyone.
You're alive!
All right, hi. Thanks. I guess rather than talk, I'm very curious to hear what you guys think of this. So please just ask me questions or comments, whatever. I'm just very curious, yes. Hi.
A really close friend of mine's brother just committed suicide, so it's just really interesting to see another person's perspective, but I have no words in my mind that's going through how much I appreciate this movie.
Thank you. Did some people here mistakenly think that this was a real documentary? Yeah. Couple people. Yeah. Not too many, though. I mean, hopefully not too many. I mean, we put it online. It's pretty clear. I guess if you looked it up on IMDb or something, you would have seen that there were actors. But I think it's, sometimes you read the description and it says it's about a documentary, and you just assume it's a documentary. I don't particularly want people to be shocked and offended and go, "What the hell did you just do to me? You tried to trick me. I hate you. You're still alive. Go to hell." But I mean, I understand if you thought that and there's angst. I do. I get it. And I'm an actually nice person normally. I'm not like this guy I play. Yeah. But I'm just saying, anybody has questions? Okay, over there.
Did it start out as an idea that you initially wanted to do something like this and then turned into a narrative later on?
Well, what happened was the director's name is Daniel, and he's the German guy in the film. And I sort of produced it with him, and he came to me and he said, my roommate had this great idea about someone making a documentary about a guy who wants to commit suicide. And then he was thinking, well, rather than actually make that film, what about make a film about that? Because it would be impossible to be objective and to not get involved as a documentarian trying to tell that story. So he thought the more interesting story would be the story of the people trying to make the film rather than the film itself. And really, ultimately, I think it was very much about the drive of the filmmakers to shock people, and that need to make a film that says something that's controversial, gets noticed, and the drive to do that against your better judgment. And that really became more what the film was about than should Matt kill himself, because that's not a question I think that I can answer or anyone can. So.
I'm just curious as to, I guess, what kind of research you did about suicide and attitudes towards suicide and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the idea, the film was completely created from a series of ideas that we had that we really didn't know how they were going to pan out. And we never really knew who we were going to pick, what the ultimate story would be for the suicidal person, if it was going to be someone with a tumor or someone who maybe had had lost their child. There were so many different ideas, and we were actually making it up sort of as we went along. And we did research. That video, Final Exit, believe it or not, is a real video, and that's shocking because it's almost the most unrealistic thing in the film. So we read Final Exit. We even talked to Derek Humphrey, the guy who is the founder who wrote that book. And ultimately, since we wanted to focus more on the filmmaking process and the ambition and the sort of the moral dilemma of the filmmakers, we ended up just going with what we thought was the easiest situation. Was we would go with the story idea of someone who had a brain tumor and not really try to answer the question of what was right for him to do, if it was right for him to try to fight or not. And that's why we said, oh, it was a 100% chance. We wanted to answer the question and just leave it. Maybe if you had a 95% chance, the film would have had a much more sort of philosophical dilemma there. So I think we tried to sort of shy away from suicide as much as possible as what our opinions are about what he should do, like I said. So we did a lot of research, but the most interesting thing was definitely the Final Exit book, which was, the plastic bag technique. It's crazy. It's like the guy, I feel so bad for him if he doesn't get a terminal illness, because it's like he spent his whole life teaching people that they should kill themselves, and it's almost like it's almost morbid, like he's eager to do it. It's very interesting. There's websites. There's all kinds of. There's pro-suicide websites. It's pretty intense. We call it suicide hotlines. Yeah, I don't know.
How did you go about crafting the script? Because the dialogue seemed really believable, really convincing.
Yeah, we didn't have a script. What we had was a structure where we would say, in this scene, you're going to fight, and you're going to fight about something, right? We would come up, we're going to fight about the, someone thinks that someone's doing, there was, for example, a plot point where I had influenced Matt to pick a gun for some reason, and that's the whole scene. And then we just go into the room and we would just consistently act out these improvisational scenes, and they would be different every single time, and we never really knew what was going to happen. So like, when I was doing those auditions, and there was the guys coming in, I never knew what they were going to say. I didn't know that two little girls were going to come in. I didn't know that a guy was going to come in and sort of threaten me. And at any given time, I don't think any of us knew what the other people were going to do. So you were kind of on your toes, and we used our real names. And so anything that we said to each other that was on film was usable. So a lot of the times the interactions are real, And I think once you get used to each other and you keep doing it and you do about 1,000 takes of every single scene, I think that was how we managed to try to keep it as sincere seeming as possible, Anyone?
As you were making this, did you find like the reactions from like people within the industry similar to how the students had a reaction from their film school?
Like, you can't do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. We did the project completely on our own and then kind of took it to the world. And it is a pretty, it's been a hard sell for people to really want to get behind this and show it. It's like shot on video, there's no famous actors, and it's about suicide. And people die at the end. There's no life-affirming ending, really. So I think the controversy angle is maybe something that people are interested in just if they think it can fill seats. But as a drama, as the story we wanted to tell, it is a very uphill battle, It's not like Jet Li and Kung Fu and bears and stuff, I don't know. Like it's, I don't know what movie just came in my mind, The Mummy 3, or I don't know. Yeah.
Two questions. One, like, did you and Val really know each other, or is that just part of the movie? And also, did you consider just having a normal suicide, like the way that he was describing to begin with, without the twists?
Yeah. No, I didn't know Val. She was the cutest girl who auditioned, so I voted for her. I didn't know anyone except for Daniel. Daniel and I have been friends forever. But we spent so much time together that we all became very close. As far as the ending, the original ending is what you saw. That was the original sort of conceived ending. We all kind of wimped out after we made this ending and said, well, this is too Hollywood. I mean, this big twist at the end. So we went and reshot an ending where he just kills himself. And I come out from the garage, and there's maybe the first moment where you see that I finally kind of come to terms with like what I've done, which was like the Lars von Trier ending. And people were mad. I think people who saw it were like, what the hell have you just done to me? Like, why did I see that? Like, it was depressing, it ended depressing, the guy died, nothing changed, nothing was resolved, nobody paid for their crimes. And I loved that ending. A lot of people loved that ending, but ultimately it seemed that people wanted some resolution and they wanted some kind of moral. And the moral was I had to pay. Everyone wanted me to pay. So it was very much shot with that ending in mind. However, that wasn't always the ending. And and I kind of like the other ending. It also has a better acting moment for me, so maybe Anyone else?
Just a comment. I was one of the ignorant people that didn't know that this was like a fake movie or a fake documentary or whatever. So I just wanted to say I was gripped throughout the whole thing. I thought it was excellent. Like the acting was superb, and I just didn't like the ending though. I liked your version. Like it would have been a lot more realistic. Like at the end, I was like, what the hell? And then you come out and I'm like, hey, he is alive.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's people are really divided on that. It's really tough. It's like I think it's a more realistic ending if I don't die. But again, there is something to be said for this. People want a narrative. Like I just saw this Korean horror movie where like they spend the whole time trying to save the kid, and at the end the kid dies, and I was like, what? And I think sometimes people need. Maybe you guys are Canadian, so you're advanced, but maybe like in America, where we're like not as smart, we need the clear moral ending. I don't know. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be on the DVD. It'll be like the director's cut or something. We also have like a 4-hour version of this we'll put on there.
But I just love that it was like so realistic. It was so believable, and that's what I'm a big fan of. feel, that's how I would react, and this is how other people would be. Huge fan.
Well, thank you. I take that as a compliment. Yeah.
I would agree with that lady too, that I'm actually a survivor of suicide myself, and I don't think there is a moral thing to be said when somebody dies by suicide. So, you know, to have just had him kill himself and you walk out, to me would have been a much more realistic kind of an ending. But you can't please everybody. And
yeah, I mean, I think what I didn't like about this ending, and I'm like disparaging the film you just saw. What I didn't like about it was, as much as I understood that the ending is not, I mean, what Matt does is Matt's business ultimately. It's just that people thought that because I had manipulated him so much and sabotaged him so much, that I was the one who needed to suffer. But the truth is it kind of shifts it. Matt becomes not the victim, he becomes the victimizer. And ultimately, his final act on Earth is not an act of like heroism. It's a kind of a selfish, shitty thing, you know. Whether or not people think I deserve to go, I don't know. But yeah, you know, it is. It kind of takes. It kind of demonizes him in a way. I don't know. It's scarier though. You know, it's scarier. I freak out every time I see it. Yeah.
Initially, I actually thought that your character had realized what he'd done maybe often.
Yeah, sure, and that's cool. I mean, that's I mean that's an interesting idea too. I mean, there was a million different ways we could have done it. I mean, maybe the most realistic way that this could have ended, it would have been that I would have said, stop, 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 please God, don't stop. I can't believe you're actually going to do this. What have I done? I mean, probably in real life, that's what would have happened, is the person would be like, no, just, no, wait a minute. You know, and that would have been a viable ending too, so. Yeah, we done?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyone else?